Have you ever had someone criticize your religious beliefs saying that the only reason you really believe that is because of the culture you were raised in or because it's what you were taught by your family when you were young? Well, in this video, we're discussing why that argument is actually a logical fallacy, but how it can still spur us on to a deeper, more mature faith. So don't go anywhere, that's coming right up. Hey, I'm Matt, and this is Truth Snack, a channel that tries to help us discuss what really matters in life. So when you see memes like these, what's sometimes being implied is that what you believe religiously isn't really true. It's just familiar and comfortable to you, and that's why you believe it. But the problem with this kind of thinking is that it's a logical fallacy called the genetic fallacy, which says that because you can show where a belief comes from, that therefore that belief is false. But we can show that knowing where a belief comes from doesn't mean that that belief is necessarily false. Let me give you a few examples. I believe that the Earth goes around the sun primarily because of my 21st century scientific context. I don't understand the math or the astronomy, and frankly, to me, it looks like the sun is going around the Earth. But I believe that in fact, the Earth is going around the sun because that's what I've been taught since I was a child. But that doesn't mean that that belief is false. Now, imagine for a second that I believe that the Earth goes around the sun, not because of what I learned in school, but because I read it in a comic book. Now, that's a terrible place to learn about our solar system, but it doesn't matter. That still doesn't show that the belief I have is false. So hopefully you can see that knowing the origin of a belief and whether or not that belief is actually true are actually two separate issues. So if someone challenges your faith and says that you only believe that because that's what you were taught to believe, they've actually done nothing to show that your beliefs are false. But I want to be as fair as I can to the challenge found in these memes. So before I crumple it up and throw it away, I want to acknowledge that it does ask a good question. Is the only reason I believe what I do because it lines up with my family's religion or the default beliefs of my culture? You see, I think we should be putting a lot of thought into life's deepest questions. Questions like, what's the meaning of life? How do I live a good life? What happens when I die? You see, we shouldn't be in default, but we should be passionately seeking after the truth and trying to align our lives with it. So if we're going to respond to the challenge of this meme with integrity, then we all have to ask ourselves this question. Do I have good reasons to believe what I do? Asking that question seriously can be really scary, but I think totally worth it. And lucky for you, that's what this channel happens to be all about, helping you know what you believe and why. And so if you're willing to go on that journey, consider subscribing, watching Truth Snack videos, and taking seriously the questions at the end of each episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.